Welcome, everyone. Happy to have you here for Recruiter on Call with Jobs, which we do monthly, typically on the third Thursday of the month from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. I hope everybody can hear me okay. That is a good question. Can somebody put something in the messages that says that they can hear us okay? I'm going to see if I can get the messages up on the board here. Maybe, oh dear. Or maybe Merrill. Is Merrill Cass on? If he could give me a thumbs up. I don't know if I've got my my life together in okay. Oh, can hear you perfectly. Thank you so much. I appreciate that feedback. Okay, so I am going to first do a quick introduction before I introduce our recruiter on call. So my name is Lynne Williams. I'm in the suburbs of Philadelphia and in Paoli, Pennsylvania specifically. I write resumes and LinkedIn profiles. I run a 501c3 nonprofit called greatcareers.org. And that's what keeps me busy, other than being a Mimi to my 3 grandsons. So I want to welcome Nancy Gamble here today. So she is going to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about where she's from and how long she's been a recruiter.
Yes. Hi. Thank you, Lynn, so much for having me. I'm Nancy Gamble, and I own and run a company called Hire Profile, H-I-R-E, of course. And we are in Atlanta, Georgia, and I have been a recruiter for exactly 30 years, almost to the month. So this is kind of a fun way to celebrate that. I'm from the Los Angeles area, and I moved to Atlanta for no real reason other than to not live in Los Angeles anymore. I was in the advertising industry, and it was wonderful for a time, but I wanted a different life. And I came out here to be a recruiter for the advertising industry and have never stopped and never looked back.
How about that? So were you in LA proper or a suburb thereof?
I am from Long Beach, which is about an hour south, but I was living in Brentwood, actually, at the time of the OJ trial and the riots and the earthquakes. And I thought, maybe God is telling me to seek a different city for my permanent home. So I had visited Atlanta once and was just smitten by it and moved out here. I answered a blind ad in the back of Adweek magazine. Somebody with an advertising agency account executive background to become a recruiter for that industry, and I thought, well, that might be my ticket, and it was.
How about that? I used to live in San Francisco, and then I moved to Orange. So that's how I sort of became a Mickey Mouse fan. So I'm definitely a Disney nerd, and can't go out to California all the time, so I go to Florida all the time.
Wonderful. Well, I have a wonderful Disney connection. One of the gals who helped me get my job out here in Atlanta, because she had worked for this company that I worked for when I first moved. She's now the head of the animation archives for Disney, and it is just the most interesting job you can have.
All right. Very cool. So tell us about, what your company specializes in. And again, did you say how long you've been a recruiter?
30 years.
30 years. Wow. Okay. So what do you specialize in?
So Hire Profile, we founded it in 2003 after leaving the employer that brought me out here. But we focus on marketing, advertising, design, and everything in the creative industry. So anything a marketing department or an ad agency or a digital marketing agency design firm. And I see somebody went to Disney for the first time. Anyway, so we have freelancers, anything from art directors to graphic designers, copywriters, illustrators that can be hired on an hourly or project basis. And then, of course, we do permanent searches for anything from marketing specialists all the way up to chief marketing officer, in which we, in fact, our most recent placement was for a chief marketing officer for a worldwide global company. So it's the gamut, and we love it. We love creative people, and we focus. Most of our accounts are here in the Atlanta Southeast area, but we have done, things in other cities and other parts of the country.
Awesome. Well, I actually have a couple people in my network that I would like to introduce you to.
Always
So I
looking
will
for
do that.
Great. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a pretty weird job market out there. I gotta say, and it might be kind of weird in the recruiter space too, because it's a trickle down effect. So, what kind of trends or changes are happening in the hiring landscape that you can see?
Thanks for asking. It's a great question, because I think everybody who is either newly laid off, which there is unfortunately a wave of those people right now, or people who were new graduates and senior executives that have, through no fault of their own, had to been reduction in forced rift. So we're seeing, obviously, it is an employer's market right now, meaning they kind of hold the cards. However, the change from candidate market to employer market can change on a dime. What you want to be careful for is companies taking advantage of their power play right now and reducing salaries to abnormal levels, saying the job is going to be 60, 70 hours a week, and you just need to fit into our culture and do that. So there are a lot of red flags right now for some kind of crummy jobs. Also, bots reaching out to people offering fake jobs, bot interviews. So just be wary, be cautious, focus on companies that you have heard of, that you know someone there, and that you have done your research. The research portion is on you to investigate, and to make connections with people who work there and ask them pointed questions. But I think as far as the trend, things are starting to settle down. I think February through May, with the tariffs changing and all of the layoffs happening, I think there was a lot of pausing in hiring just for fear of what's ahead. But I feel like people are settling in, and I do feel like the fall is going to be strong.
Oh, I'm really glad to hear that. And I'm sure everybody else on here who is a job seeker is also glad to hear that. So I want to give a shout out to a couple people that I see are on. I just got off the phone with Katie Kelly right before I jumped on this call. And I know she's in HR in the Philadelphia area, and Lisa Vitale Hess is in the Detroit area. She and I worked together on a fundraiser for the American Cancer Society at the Michigan Summit for the self-employed last week. And so she's looking for, some events coordination and admin work. So thanks for jumping in. Hi, Leanne. Leanne's from Central New Jersey. She's looking for a senior admin professional. And Gregory Liverpool is in the Edmonton, Alberta, Canada area, I think. And he's also in HR. So I can't go back to the earlier messages, but I wanted to at least acknowledge the few that came in that I can see right now. All right, let's go and talk about resume tips.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for job seekers to craft an effective resume that stands out for you?
Well, we appreciate a well-designed resume. We are in the marketing and creative field. So what a banker or an accountant might turn into a client or submit might be a little drier than what we like and appreciate. However, we don't advise for, a lot of heavy graphics, a lot of charts and graphs, and things like if you listed out all your technical skills and you put stars by the ones you know well and less stars by the ones that you don't know well, that is not helpful, because we do work within an ATS, applicant tracking system. And some of those crafty visuals will not translate when it comes into the ATS. So we need the information to be out and proud and simple, but some color, some personal branding, especially if you're in the marketing or creative field, is still warranted and welcomed. We do present your original resume with our logo to the employer, but we also do it in a very bespoke manner. So I do not submit resumes to other ATSs like a job seeker would need to. I know there are many services that will help you craft your resume with the right keywords. And I think those are all very, very useful. But I will say that if I put a job on LinkedIn, I am looking for the attached resume and I'm reading it by hand in a personal manner. So I might be old-fashioned, but I feel that's the best way that a human being can review a resume and really look for those. But I am looking for some keywords that come from my client's, job description.
Just out of curiosity, what is your ATS system that you use?
It is owned by Bullhorn, but it is called Job Science, and it's been around a long time, and we're so invested in it. We haven't changed anything new and woo-woo, but it's still going strong. I love it. It's based on the Salesforce platform, so it's like using Salesforce.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of Bullhorn before.
Yeah, they've got Job Science. Mm-hmm.
All right. I also want to give a shout out. Let's see. I saw Maxwell Turner on here. He's from Charlotte, North Carolina. We've been connected for a few years. And Michelle Norton is seeking senior business analyst position. I saw somebody else, but the messages keep getting buried. That I wanted to give a shout out to. So, thanks for jumping on, folks. We appreciate your support and coming here today.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you with a little pop of color in a resume. But yeah, you can't go too heavy on the graphics. But I wind up doing like a pretty resume for humans with a pop of color.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do a deconstructed resume that's boring black and white that I feel that the ATS is going to be able to, suck out the information and pop into the fields of the database.
I do agree that each candidate should have both. And really the first 1/3, if not 1/4, is a place that you can customize a lot.
Yes. Yes.
And I am a big believer in the top 1/4 of a resume needs to tell me basically 3 things. And that is who you are, what you do for a living, and I mean big and bold what you do for a living, and how I can get a hold of you. And I see a lot of resumes that kind of just dive into a bunch of skill sets. They dive into maybe their work experience without a headline or a nice summary. And in that summary, this is maybe the only place on your resume where you have an opportunity to show your writing and your personality. So don't skip the summary and just make it a list of bullets, because we've got another rest of the page, if not 2 pages, full of duties and KPIs and accomplishments and percentage signs and dollar signs. Use that summary to tell me what keeps you up at night. What are you passionate about? How much fun are you to work with? What do you love to do? What are you good at? Like, really talk to me as a reader. And that's what I like, is somebody who really shows some personality and some writing skills, especially if you're in marketing. You will be writing. There is no if, ands, or buts.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you got to show that you can construct sentences, and that's the profile summary at the top. You've got to be able to show that, especially in, marketing, that you understand keywords. And so that's your, your core competencies or skills or keywords. I normally put that list in alphabetical order because I figure the person reading it is going to be kind of discerning must-haves, nice-to-haves, oh, he, she also has.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to be able to write in bullet points, concise and to the point. So there are, conventions for resumes. And believe it or not, I have one resume template that and one and only one that I've used for over a decade. It works for men as well as women and has light blue shading in it. But I'm down with everything that you said so far. And here, we didn't even, collaborate on that ahead of time. So, Leanne has been to my, tips to optimize your resume workshop and said it's clean and classy. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah. The main
and personal branding. So do you review LinkedIn profiles before you decide to call a candidate, and what's your overall take on what you see?
Well, it's interesting because I see a wide variety. Yes, my ATS, and one of the reasons I like it is that I can have one screen with the resume up and the LinkedIn profile up inside the ATS. So I can compare if I have an older resume and the LinkedIn has newer information, or I can also see if I have an older resume, if LinkedIn has subsequently dropped a job, and I can see where things don't match, titles don't match, dates don't match. So the key to this is it's got to match. And I appreciate people who spend time on their LinkedIn profile. It is a wonderful way to be found if I am doing a search within LinkedIn. But I think I put more money behind the resume, because LinkedIn isn't there to describe you for a particular job. It is more of a general overview. So I treat it as a general overview, but there are some mistakes people can make in that they may not have certain sections. Like one of the most important sections is your recommendations. A lot of people just think, or they have them on there from 1987. Actually, they couldn't, because probably wasn't around then. But I had a very senior head of HR for BBDO, which is one of the biggest ad agencies. And I submitted a candidate to her, and sometimes we learn by making mistakes, for what I considered a project manager for marketing. And she looked at her recommendations and she read them all. I had not. And she said, this is an IT project manager. This is not what you think it is, or she is. And that taught me a very painful lesson, that I need to look at those recommendations to make sure they are complementing or talking about the role that I'm trying to fill. So keep your recommendations up to date. The best way to get a recommendation is to give a recommendation. So sit down one weekend and ask 3 or 4 of your ex-vendors, ex-boss, ex-colleagues, ex-suppliers, or current. I mean, it could be, as long as it's not going to harm you in your secrecy of a job search. Then, and then you ask them, or you give them compliments and recommendations, and then the system will in turn ask them if they'd like to do the same for you. So it's a give first situation.
Yeah. I know who I meant to acknowledge earlier is Mitu Dada. She's from the greater Philadelphia area. And if anybody knows any positions in product management in the geospatial data GIS platforms, she is the queen of GIS. And also Alex Morgan is also from the Philadelphia area, and he's looking for a mid to senior level position in data analytics and visualization. And Sajith Kumar is also a recruiter. He's asking, Why haven't ATS systems in the age of AI developed to extract data problem, be it from images, table formats, or any other resume? I don't know. I'm not, a platform, ATS platform expert. The one resource that I have on ATSs, not too long ago, it had 598 ATS systems on it. And I don't know, I guess they cleaned up the list because now it's listing 353 current ATS systems.
Oh.
So that's pretty crazy. There's a lot out there and you never know what you're going to get, which is why I typically, deconstruct a resume so that, it can be read by the bots. That's basically it.
Yeah, that's basically it. And a lot of people spend a lot of time applying for to job ads on LinkedIn, and
Mhm.
I realize that we all have to do that. It's going to be a numbers game to some degree, but anytime that you have a connection or can hand deliver that resume, and I don't mean with your real hands, but via
Yeah.
an email attachment or dropping it in a message, I just think, that gives you the opportunity to send your more pretty resume as well as a personal note. I don't think the ATSs are great on having people read cover letters. We
Mhm.
don't read them. I hate to admit that to you, but an email explaining how you heard of us, what you know about us, what you've seen on LinkedIn, but you wanted to make a personal connection. I really like that extra approach,
Yeah.
extra effort.
Yeah. Awesome. So I think I saw in a previous message a LinkedIn URL from Leandra, but it didn't have her name at the top. So Leandra, if that you're still on, you may have to change your settings on LinkedIn so that your picture and your name populate at the top of the message. But at least it's good that you put your LinkedIn URL in there. So
Also, there's a Jennifer on here that I can see it in her thing. It's Jennifer Rice or Alren, but it's
Auren, yes.
LinkedIn user.
Yes, she needs to change her settings. Also, she's from Richmond, Virginia, looking for product management, business architecture. Jeff Willinger is looking for business development in the tech AI space. Bola is looking for finance and banking and broker dealer operations. Natasha's project management, looking for system engineer position in the DC, Virginia, Maryland area. So, yeah, check out, go to your little mini me on LinkedIn and click on profile and settings and see if you can switch a couple buttons in there that'll help you out. All right, we're going to continue talking about LinkedIn. And what role does personal branding play in the hiring process? And how can candidates enhance their online presence other than the tips that you've already provided?
Well, I think the main thing, well, not the main thing, one of the key things is to make sure you know what is out there in the Google sphere about yourself. And so, everyone, as soon as you hang up this call, if you haven't done it at all or you haven't done it lately, Google yourself. And then you can go also to google.com/alerts, and you need to set up Google alerts on yourself, both your email as well as your name in quotes. And also, you can do this for any job title, any company, anything you want, and set up an alert. So that is something just to get the basics, because we have had to eliminate some candidates because of their Facebook party pictures and stuff. So you just want to know that if it's not adding to your brand, whatever that may be, then it needs to be made invisible or deleted, especially in job search mode. But personal branding is an important topic. I think having your LinkedIn with a beautiful background banner, to talk about important things, to share articles that you believe in the subject matter that you may not even be working in right now, but that's what you did before. Now you're laid off. Keep sharing, keep being a thought leader in your profession. And obviously, and share other people's work or articles or interesting posts. But the main thing you can do is comment and continue to show that you are passionate about your career, passionate about your industry, and that you are supporting others who are making the effort to create content. Because it's a lot of work to write an article, and the more you can comment on it with an interesting point of view, not just good job or a thumbs up. I mean, actually say something. I think that all creates the thought leader brand. And
Absolutely. I will tag on to that. Commenting creates visibility, discoverability, and credibility. And you don't want those 2 words. You want 13 words or more when you comment, and do a value add. Become a thought leader. Share something that somebody wants to read. So before my messages disappear here, Ali Imran Zaharan and I spoke a couple days ago. He is a graduate of Penn State and looking for an analyst or financial advising position. And I'm sorry if I botch your pronunciation of your name. Whoops. Ajathia Brown, I think my messages is just disappearing, but looking for business development. Kumar is looking for project or program management. Bola's based in Atlanta. Okay, so there you go. You got an Atlanta-based person right on there.
that's wonderful.
Yeah, and Shoaib, messages are moving here. She's from India, looking for an assistant store manager role. See, we get people from all around the world here. And Mark Johns. Hey, Mark, how you doing? He is in information technology, looking for director app development QA in the Southeast PA, Northern Delaware, or Southern New Jersey areas. So Mark's been one of our members for many years. So let's talk about interview preparation. How can job seekers best prepare for interviews as a candidate you are going to submit? And do you assist with any interview preparation?
Well, first of all, put your cat away. No more cats walking across the keys. I'm thinking about Zoom interviews when you ask that, but yes, prepping from your recruiter, if you are working through one, is an extra advantage in that we know the situation. We know that might be the dire hiring situation. We know the personalities of the hiring manager, the boss above the hiring manager, and we can give our candidates the edge by coaching them with all of the inside information. And we know what's important to them. We know how other candidates may have bombed, just 2 days ago. So we can prevent you from stepping into, a mud hole. So yes, we do. We always do an interview prep session before the interview. We want them to do their research. One of the things that I've always advised is to read their website long enough until you have a question. And if you can then bring that question to your interview. Hey, Lynn, I was looking at your your website, and I see that you had a press release with this, that solved this problem. Whatever it is that you have found, then find a question right from their website. And you can do that also with people's individual backgrounds. Study that hiring manager. I don't care if you like sports, know what their alma mater is, know what their team is, know if that team has had a recent huge football victory, because you can break the ice with some comments like that. So lots of research. And then, of course, your lighting, your microphone. There is nothing worse than somebody who can't get onto the Zoom, and they haven't used Zoom in a while, and then their mic won't work. And all that tested on your spouse, tested on a girlfriend, tested on somebody else. make sure everything is up to snuff. Now, if you're working through a recruiter, you'll have tested it with us, so we are confident that you'll go in, well prepared. The best thing about audio, and even with Zoom, you can have notes all over the place that they can't see. You can have SARS, which are situation, action, and result. You can have those case studies, especially in marketing. They love case study examples, walked through examples. You can have those stuck all over your monitor. They'll never know. So take advantage of the fact that you're not in person with nothing to look at, no reference material. You can have all of those cheat sheets all around.
So, you know what I tell people is like get a big index card or make something from a tag board and like a half a sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper.
Mm-hmm.
Cut a hole in the middle, put your camera right in the middle of it, and get your black Sharpie out with all your little bullet points, with all your star stories, and pop those all around. So that way you're still looking at the camera.
That is brilliant. I am going to steal that so fast.
It's better than Post-it notes. It really is. So yeah, just cut out a hole right in the middle of a little tag board, and if you need to prop it up, you could use pencils and tape on the back end or something like that. But it works. Somebody, I don't know where I came across that tip, but if you're going to an in-person interview, if you have one of those fold-out notebooks, and on the right is your line pad of paper. On the left, you got the little triangular pocket. If you have a sheet of paper in there, you could also put, some bullet points to help you remember your star stories. And if you go in the interview and say, "Hey, would you mind if I took some notes?" I mean, makes you look like you're very interested and want to record things, like you're organized, like it's important. And that way it's already open and you've got your little cheat sheet if you have been given permission to take your notes. So that's for in person.
That's great. Having a portfolio, having something, even an iPad to show or walk through, especially with somebody with a visual example. I think that's great. Anything that you can bring that makes you memorable, that makes your example stand out, is a good thing. And it may that it never comes off the floor. It could go under your chair and that will not come up, but you have it and you're ready.
Yeah. So greetings to friends in Florida and Ontario, also that have popped up and kind of got buried already under the moving chat. So let's see. Are there common interview questions that you ask that you think candidates should be ready to answer?
Yes. There's so many. There's going to be the tell me about yourself. And they probably don't want to know about fourth grade, but they want to know how you arrived at your current position. They want to know about your education and what drove you into this industry and this profession. So I would rehearse that, keep it tight and concise, but always working in points about why you would be an excellent choice for the job. You have, if they've talked about they need a fast-paced environment, you could talk about how, having 4 or 5 brothers and sisters made everything, you can deal with chaos. You move very quickly. You can work some fun skills into your background. And I would also be ready to give examples. If a more experienced interviewer asks behavioral questions, so they're going to start questions like, tell me about a time, give me an example of, what would you do in this situation? Those are open-ended questions that are going to need. Those are not yes or no questions. And you can tell that if someone is a more experienced interviewer when they ask you those type of questions. They're setting you up to tell them a story. And also to give you opportunities in unusual situations. Maybe it's a situation you've never had. So you're going to have to make up what you would do if you were met with, let's say, a CEO who killed your idea in the middle of a meeting. How would you handle that? So you have to be ready with those types of how you would handle tough situations. I think that's a really important one. And that you know about the company, and that you always, I can't emphasize it enough, have a question for the end. Please do not ever say, I think you've covered everything. Thank you. You have to have a question. So, and have a couple, because one might be answered during the interview and you still need the spare question for when they say, do you have any questions?
Yeah, that's what Chat GPT is really good for.
It
Like,
is.
put your job description in and say, as a job seeker, what questions could I ask at the interview? So again, you can, put that in. If you're in person, you can put that in your left pocket, of that little, portfolio. And then, if you're doing it on Zoom,
Cheat
you
sheets
can have
everywhere.
that by. Yeah.
And I'll take it a step further. Take the questions ChatGPT gave you, put them back into ChatGPT, and ask it for the answers
Yeah.
based on your experience. And then you can, you want to take your phone number and all that out of it, but you can give them your LinkedIn URL. You can give them a copy of your resume. So yeah, ChatGPT will definitely give you some framework to think about different questions and to have your answers rehearsed. Not rehearsed in a bad way, just ready.
So, you mentioned behavioral interview questions. So you can see that there's a QR code, under my picture. It says join us for 18 to 25 events a month.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody goes on that link, which is greatcareers.org, go to our search bar at the top right. If you enter the word AI, you're going to get some articles that are going to pop up. And the one in particular that I'm thinking of, it's got the word AI on the image, and it's from September 26, 2024. That is a really comprehensive article I wrote. It has 49 soft skills where you might be typically asked behavioral interview questions. There's examples of how you might answer them with your star stories. And lots of AI and other interview resources. So it's called AI Resources and Tips for Interview Preparation, the Ultimate How-To Guide. So highly recommend that. And while you're on there, speaking of AI, if you go to our events page, 15 minutes after we end this call, I am excited to welcome Subhik Dawn from uppl.ai apply, and he's going to be talking about turbocharging your job search using AI. He and I had a one-on-one call, and I'm like, hey, your platform is pretty doggone cool. Would you like to come and speak? So that's going to be on Zoom from 1:45 to 2:45. He may not need a whole hour, I don't know, but it is a live Zoom call, but you do have to register on our website, greatcareers.org, to attend that. And the first time you register on our website, it's a big old long form to fill out, and make sure you check the little box at the bottom so that it goes through. But if you've been on our website before and have already established an account, it's easy peasy to log in with just your username or email and a password. So, okay, let's talk about.
There was a question that just came through. I don't know if you
Good.
saw.
No.
Hey, Damien. Somebody I know is on here. He asked a question about if you have 20 plus years of experience, should you list your whole career on your resume? I don't know where the thing went, but I think that's what he asked. And the rule that I use, and I hope you agree, Lynn, is you only have to go back 10 years. However, I think a earlier career or earlier work experience section where it boils maybe another 10 years down into simply employer, title, and date, I think that is very acceptable.
I typically go back 12 to 15 years, and then I do have a early career section that's a one-liner. So it has the company name, city, state, the title, and the dates, but you have the details of your accomplishments and achievements on LinkedIn. So that way, if they want to reference it, now, if you want to go back to do something you did like really early career, then, that's all adjusted. Is everything is individualized. All I can say is it depends, right? So there's standard things that I do, but sometimes we need to tweak and modify to get to where we want to go. It's all about positioning and keywords, for me, because a lot of people want to do career pivots. So a pivot would be doing a different job in the same industry. Other people want to do complete reinventions, go from W-2 to nonprofit, or sorry, a for-profit to nonprofit, or vice versa, or military to university, or something like that. Or maybe a business owner to a W-2 job, or vice versa. So everything is customized and individualized. And once you have a good, solid base resume, you can take that resume and you can customize it to each and every job that you want to apply to, right?
Yeah, and I always tell people if they're worried about taking an older job off, they think, well, like my first job was at IBM. That's a really important job. I said, then leave it. But if the job does not serve you anymore, you are not in that field. That is not what you're doing now. That is so far below where you are. It's not helping you. Then that's some of the criteria you can use on whether or not to drop it. Like if you're now a creative director, but your first job, was a set runner on a TV show, is it really serving you? Is it going to get you what you need now? Then you might want to let it go. So that's, just kind of use some filtering when you look at those older jobs and see how they're.
Yeah, exactly. I like that word, filtering. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got to be relevant, or it's not worth space on a resume. I never believe in taking a resume longer than 3 pages. If you're a mid to senior level executive, 2 pages is my preference, but I'm definitely not into a 1-page resume. Sorry, folks. Even for new graduates from college, or people who are in college looking for an internship, I still wind up doing 1.5 pages to 2 pages so that I can get all those sections in with the profile summary paragraph, the keywords, and all that. That's just my jam. So
if you've done it well, I don't mind a 1-page, but 3 pages, unless you're Colin Powell and you are, a 4-star general, we don't need that much. You can use, what is it that I think Mark Twain is attributed for saying, if I had more time, I would have written you a shorter letter. It takes more time to make it short. And so sometimes when it's long and it's blithering, I think, oh, they didn't take the time to really wordsmith this thing tightly. So I do appreciate a tightly done resume.
Yeah, it's not too often I do a lot of 3-page resumes, but I do have a lot of senior people, that have quite a bit of experience. And, if they've risen in their corporate role for, a dozen or more times, it's kind of hard to get, too many one-liners out of there, especially if some of their past experiences relative to their future forward. I don't know. I just gear it to future forward. And
yep. No, I totally agree.
So let's talking about resumes. Did you see a lot of people using AI in their resume? Like, can you tell?
Sometimes I can. And that's not a good thing. You don't want it to be detectable. I have no doubt that many paragraphs have been rewritten with AI. There are lots of ways to make a very simple task sound like you lit the world on fire. So I would be careful, very careful about having it give you skills or flowery words around a very simple skill to make it seem bigger than it is, because the ultimate thing that could happen is you get in the interview where you have less opportunity to fake it. And I have had this say, the resume said you did all these things, but you couldn't speak to it. You couldn't answer difficult or technical questions about that skill. So be very hesitant to overinflate with the help of AI. But if it helps clarify what seemed jumbled to you, I know that if I were to put together a resume on me, I would find it very difficult to summarize everything I've done in the last 30 years into, 7 bullet points. That would that would be a very, very difficult task. So I get why you need AI, or you could use AI as a tool for that. Probably cover letters and LinkedIn posts are where I see AI used more often, sometimes in emails.
So I've heard from a lot of recruiters that all the cover letters are starting to look the same because they are AI generated. So when I work with clients, I have different starters for my cover letters and say, okay, get the fodder, the ideas from AI and weave it in, but at least it looks different from the get-go. And
Yes.
and for resumes, like I do not think you're going to get a good quality resume from AI if you put, the whole doggone thing in and ask it to churn it out. It's not going to be pretty. It's just black and white, right? Boring.
Right. Yeah, you've
So
got
there's your pops of color, but you can absolutely positively get metrics, in your bullet points one at a time using AI. And I think every single bullet point on a resume should hopefully have some sort of quantitative metric in it. Again, how'd you help a company make money, save time, improve processes with a dollar number, percent. Sometimes
I say that all the time. Dollar sign or percentage sign. We've got to have some of those, and
yeah.
we bolded.
So I want to invite some people up to the stage in a few minutes, and I'll give you the link for that in just a hot minute. But we're going to go with a couple more questions before I do that. So what are the most sought after skills and qualifications in candidates right now? And you could, they could be soft skills.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said, what are the most sought after skills and qualifications for candidates now? And, they can be soft skills.
I think one of the things that comes up a lot in our jobs is being able to manage others. There's one thing to manage a project, but to lead a team and to get buy-in and to be able to manage people and all of the problems that come with people, we all know. I think that is a skill it's more of a soft skill, and it's something that's hard to put as a skill on your resume because you need almost the testimonies from the people you led. But if you are able to find a great way to talk about leadership and that you manage that team and together you moved a mountain, I think that is a skill that can never be substituted with AI.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Anything else?
Well, staying up with technology kind of goes without saying. I'll give an example. I hope he's not listening. We had a writer submit an article for our blog that we take guest authors for, and we wanted to suggest some changes. So we put his article in Google Docs, and then we went into suggestion mode, and he did not know how to approve or reject our edits. And I thought, how do you not know that? And wow. I was just like, wow, but he's a older, ad guy, and just, I guess, hadn't messed with that. And so it was like, you have to really stay up on it. And it's like a little side job to make sure that you know your tools know your computer, know your word processing, know your PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Now AI adds to the list. So, and CRMs and all the rest of it. So,
When I work with clients, like I make them use AI as part of our collaboration together
oh,
because I want them to go to an interview. They may not be like super proficient in it, but have you ever used AI before? Oh yeah, yeah, I have. I've used ChatGPT. You want to be able to say confidently that you've done that. So I've had clients that have been like newbies. They didn't even have a ChatGPT account. And they're like, oh, this is really cool. I'm like, yeah, it's really
yeah,
cool.
rabbit hole. I see a question, if it's all right.
Sure.
Should you include your, this is from Swarupa, should you include your U.S. work authorization in your resume, even if it's a question asked during the application process? If you're talking about LinkedIn, it does ask if you have authorization to work in this country, and you can answer yes. But I would probably put it on your resume. I would just put a little line that you have, green card, what type of visa it is, whatever.
Yeah.
Because that is a very easy way for people to rule you out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not dealing with that, just not going on to the next one. And so to make it very upfront and clear that you are valid to work here, I think is important.
So I see some questions about uploading resumes to LinkedIn.
Mhm.
I would suggest that you do not upload a resume to LinkedIn because, and like publicize it in your featured section or make a post about it. That is not a custom resume. If you have a well-written resume, in my humble opinion, all that content can go on LinkedIn and then you embellish LinkedIn more. But if you put a resume out there, then you can't customize it to the
Yeah.
job, right? So that's my 2 cents worth. Now, I know you can put it in the back end, but my question is, why would you need to do that if you're going directly to a company's website to apply? So I know LinkedIn has job postings, but I'm not a big fangirl of the easy apply feature because it's easy and like hundreds of people are doing the same doggone thing. How does that make you stand out? Take the time and effort and apply on the company's website. HR people, they have limited resources. It's called time, right? Time resources. And there's limited HR people in a company and they have to be able to process all these things. And if they've got enough applicants on their company website and platform, they don't really have a need to go look at LinkedIn easy apply. That's my humble opinion. What do you think about that?
Well, we don't, when we do use LinkedIn to post a job that we're working on, we always require a resume to be added as a file, in their application.
Yeah.
So I am unaware if that is something that is easy apply or not, but I don't think so, because easy apply is really just sending your LinkedIn profile, that I am aware. So we like a more custom approach. And there is part of me that wants to even stop posting our jobs on LinkedIn. We can do posts about our jobs, but directing everyone to our own job board, or the real work of headhunting, and that is actually reaching out to individuals, and you're not posting and taking candidates. But I might have an internal fight with my team on that because they have found some great candidates. In fact, the CMO that we placed, we found on LinkedIn. And so people say LinkedIn doesn't work. Nobody ever gets hired off LinkedIn. I can definitely say that is not true.
Yeah.
However, we get a lot of schlock. No offense to anyone. You're not the schlock. But, people who have no business whatsoever applying for the job that we posted. And that's where the easy apply can, definitely cost you time in filtering.
So I'm going to do a quick commercial break, and then you're going to share your job openings. And I just sent Meryl Cass the link for anybody to jump on the call. So let me do my commercial break. I want you to know that who makes this possible is the the Great Careers Network, which is greatcareers.org. That's the QR code. That is a 501c3 nonprofit. And also the thoughtleadershipbranding.club. So if you go to thoughtleadershipbranding.club and you go to the events page, you will see lots of amazing events from the team of people and career coaches, etc., who put out events on Clubhouse and Zoom. And I've been involved in that club for, I don't know, 4-something years. I get so much value out of it, and I really enjoy the people. It is just an amazing community of people. So it's a small community, but for me as an entrepreneur, I get a lot of value out of it. But there's lots of career coaches who are running some great programs that will also help job seekers. So go to thoughtleadershipbranding.club and look at the events page. So it is now time for you to share your any job openings, or just recap the typical jobs that you typically look for. Again, I know it's a weird world out there, so if you just want to recap, the kind of jobs you're looking for, that's fine. You said you started in the beginning, but it's always good to repeat, marketing, etc.
Yes. Sorry, I thought you were talking to the audience. Yes, I can tell you. Right now, we are looking for a digital project manager in Atlanta. So we have a couple of jobs that we've just filled. So we don't have a ton of new jobs right now, but we are hoping once the summer vacation series ends, we will get a lot more. But we're always looking for solid marketing managers, lots of digital experience, content creators, and also art directors, designers, and agency account executives would be, I think, some of the more common ones that we have had.
All right. So, does anybody want to come up on stage and ask a couple questions? Let me see. I don't see anybody that has jumped on quite yet. So we're going to ramble on until I do see somebody. I know Meryl put it in the link in the comments. So it is a studio.restream link. And you have to click on that in order for me to see you on stage here. So is there anything that I've not asked that you would like to share?
I can't think of anything. I would love some questions to see what obstacles you're finding if you are a job seeker. I know that ghosting is a huge issue, but I wanted to see if there were any current evolutions that you're seeing from the other side of the fence.
What question I hear a lot from job seekers is, what's the best way to follow up with a recruiter? How long should it be after you're submitted for a job? What's your process?
Well, we would love to have that conversation during the interview that we admit that we will be submitting you. It would be great if they would say, when should I follow up? We know our client. We may say, hey, we have this job, but we know they're in Tahiti for the next week, so don't call me in 2 days. So we should have that conversation together before we end our call. But if you don't get that information given to you, then please do ask for it. Then I would say probably 48 to 72 hours with maybe a polite email. I wouldn't do, and this happened to me recently, where a candidate, they texted me, they called me on my phone, they sent me a LinkedIn message and an email. I'm like, okay, that's too much, too often. Please choose a medium and stick with it. Unless you find that medium is not working, then try another one, but stick with that. So I would say about 48 to 72 hours.
Okay. I have a question that somebody called me about actually last night. She said, there's no place to submit a cover letter, but I'd like to submit one. Should I reach out and connect on LinkedIn when I'm not connected to this person? Or should I like try to figure out the email structure for that particular company and just send it blindly? Like if a cover letter was not required, but somebody wanted to send one, would you know, be delightfully surprised that one pops in your email inbox or something?
I would not be anything but pleased to receive it. I would think if you know that the person's on LinkedIn and their profile was somehow incorporated into the job posting, then just go that route. They're obviously using LinkedIn and they're probably on there checking their inbox all the time. And I have had lovely messages that say, hey, I saw your job. I went ahead and applied. I would love to send you just a little bit more personalized information, and I would love to set up a call if you'd like to discuss. I've had some very polite and not pushy LinkedIn messages that were based on a posting. So I think that's a great way to go. Sending it blind to a guest on the email. I mean, there are many, many Chrome extensions that can help you find work emails. Hire Easy, one called Wiza, Wiza, Hunter.io. A lot of those have free versions with a limited amount of credits. And so you can look up work emails that way. But if you know that they're on LinkedIn, then that seems to be the easiest way. I will say I have one client who said an applicant who he'd interviewed connected with him on LinkedIn, I think or attempted to connect with him before they even interviewed. And he did find that to be too forward. So dropping an in-mail might be acceptable, but asking them to be, a lifelong connection when you haven't even, they might have to reject you. And that's like awful, when now you're connected. So
yeah. All right, we're running out of time, but Gregory has come up to the stage, so I'm going to give him audio right now. Gregory's in Canada and he's in HR. Okay, go ahead, Gregory. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. The connection between my city, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and your city, Nancy, in hot Atlanta, that we stole your NHL team, the Thrashers.
Oh, I think you did. You did.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry for 15 years since.
Yeah, it's been gone a while. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm hearing you're getting another one quite soon and stuff. So.
We are. Yeah. We have a very active soccer team now, so we've got lots going on.
Yeah, so my question, I will say flat out, Lynn knows where this is going to go. How can people who are neurodiverse stand out in regards of this basically crazy, hellacious job market that basically, I will say, don't appreciate, a majority of recruiters, I will say majority of the recruiters do not understand neurodiversity or do not want to dive into neurodiversity in terms of clients and stuff. And I've been talking to a lot of different recruiters for the past several months, and even intensified with talking with recruiters this past week, that it is basically a risk averse type of a situation in regards to knowing about neurodiversity and stuff, and how to stand out and basically be that one shining moment candidate for them to accept that we are a competitive advantage and we have a talent pool of $1.3 trillion impact on a global GDP spectrum, basically.
Wow, that's a great question. I have never been asked anything about neurodiversity, but I know a bit about it from people that I know. And I think there is a hidden talent there. There's usually an area of extreme skill that can be marketed and can be well utilized by a company. So how is it, do you feel neurodiverse candidates are revealing that they are that way? Or do you feel they're just coming to the table as anyone else would.
Okay, that's a very good question, Nancy. And I basically send a connection request to you because I will say you're kind of like the type of recruiter human to put the human back in HR type of mantra, which I'm trying to percolate on this platform. In regards to your question, I will say people who are neurodiverse are basically in regards to behavioral type of questions in terms of how to troubleshoot different problems with situational problems within the interview. They are basically, I will say, I hate to say this, but they are basically try to mask their neurodiverseness and try to act like a normal, quote unquote, normal human being, which is virtually sad and unfortunate in regards to that thing, because they're not showing their unique self and their unique value proposition to protect their companies and stuff, and the stigma is basically real. We have a 30 to 80% global unemployment rate for people who are neurodiverse, and here in Canada, me being on the spectrum, that basically is between 70 and 90% unemployment, basically. So yeah.
Well, I would love to. I don't know what more to say other than I feel for your challenges. I think it's becoming more talked about. We've got Love on the Spectrum. We have lots and lots of talk in the news about it. Maybe there's a reason to come right out with it and say, this is me. I want to help you understand how my brain works, and everybody's is different, but here's what makes me stand out. So maybe full disclosure at the beginning is better than the masking and the pretending.
Yeah, to me, as a mother of a ADHDer, my daughter is very, very smart, has a photographic memory, and has lots of great skills. So it's an ability, not a disability.
I think you're right.
So, but it is a spectrum, and things vary. So, you want to definitely tread water carefully. Some people may want to say it up front, and other people may want the company to fall in love with them, make the job offer, and then disclose. So you have to do what feels right for you. But I need to wrap because my other event is starting in 7 minutes, and I have to
Sorry about that. Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you
for jumping on. So I want to thank you so much for joining me here today, Nancy. And do you want people to reach out and get a hold of you?
Yes, I haven't found a way to comment on all of the questions. And hi, Sylvia, I see you there. But I'm going to log on to the event page on LinkedIn and keep it there and answer every question that I see and connect with all of you.
Yeah.
Me too. And it's just Nancy Gamble. And I'd love to connect. And if you are in Atlanta and I can help you in a more one-on-one way, I'd be more than happy to do that.
All right. So, again, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope to be in touch online again. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And if you are going to be coming to the next workshop, it starts in 6 minutes.
You're a busy lady, Lynn.
Yeah, and I will also get a chance to comment on, the comments, but it's going to be much later because I have more meetings. Yeah, I'm like a bee, meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting. So, all right.
All right, see everybody later.